want to switch gears a little bit and talk about DJ mixes, guys, just to kind of get away from COVID for a slight minute. I'm sure we'll go back. But I was working on, I typically, every summer, I make like a summer essentials mix. I take like, you know, all the pop summer hits, put them into a mixtape, and then it's kind of just something like a sample. You know, you can put it on FLAIR before a wedding if it's outdoors, you know, something that I can just leave on. It's all the hits from the summer. And I was working on it yesterday or 2 days ago, and man, I feel like the value of a DJ mix has just plummeted in the last 10 years. Like, you know, it was like something that like, okay, I had a little bit of value even 5 years ago, but now, I mean, do you guys feel like DJ mixes have any value, and like where are you using them, and do you guys make them corrupt? I know you do Lost in the Sauce. And then FLAIR, Birdman, I'm sure you guys have made mixes before. What do you guys think the value of mixes in 2020 is?
I'm not going to lie. I mean, just for at least where I'm at, I can't tell you the last time I made one. And part of it, you can call it lazy, you can call it stupid, whatever you want. It's not on the top of my to-do list. I know obviously there's benefits for them, but I don't think there's benefits anywhere near as to where they were, at least when I started, which I know is only 6-7 years, which obviously that's nothing compared to you guys. But I know when I first started, and I first started, you know, trying to train myself and getting tips from everyone and everything, I learned from, you know, listening to, you know, the guys who were in the Red Bull Freestyle, from DJ Trey's 2012's February set was one of my favorite sets. And that's when I really started practicing on how to blend just normal, like top 40 with a little bit of dance and everything like that. And there were tons of them. And I would just listen to them over and over and over again, not necessarily to repeat what they were doing, but to start getting a vibe for it and getting a feel for it and getting a rhythm in my head. Nowadays, I mean, obviously I know, like, I like listening to the Club Killers podcast. I think, James, you were on one of those. I listened to it the other day. You did one a little bit ago. And I do like them. Don't get me wrong. I just don't, I don't personally make time for it.
I'm going to sound like an idiot when I say this because I just made one this week, but I think mixtapes are stupid, honest to God. I only did it because I was bored. And I was like, you know, I heard 2 of those songs in that mix on the radio, and so I threw one on. But you know, I might have a different opinion of others. Like James said, people have different opinions, but I think mixtapes are kind of stupid. I think they all sound the same. Maybe, you know, a little bit different because the music you chose that time, the additional scratches you threw in that time, maybe a couple sound effects, but I don't know. I just feel like the only real value you have, like I made a Michael Jackson mixtape after he died, and I took and burned like 100 copies of this, and I took it to a bridal show, and I handed it out like a business card, and I got a boatload of weddings back then. So that maybe, but you know, just the one I put up the other day, I mean, it ain't going to get me any business. The only people that ever listen to it are my friends and the ones I give it to. I'm not trying to light the world on fire. I just want something on my phone that's mine that I could jam out to when I'm working out or out in the backyard. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of why I make them. But I like Cody. I don't have time. They're not on the top of my list. I made a lot more 20 years ago when I started because they're kind of like resume things. You know, you could give them to people perhaps that might want your business, and you could still do that. But I don't know. I just don't think I've seen the return on the investment, which isn't a lot, but I just haven't seen a lot of return on it. So,
I mean, it just depends on who you are. I mean, you know, I will say I'm very blessed and very fortunate that, you know, I had Bullwinkles for as long as I did. And as soon as that was no longer a thing, I picked up A&R with Chang very quickly. So if you're into, you know, especially for younger DJs and everything, I know that's one of the reasons we do this is for people to learn tips and, you know, the younger guys to hear, you know, what we should do. It just depends on who you are. So if you are trying to get a gig, make a 30-minute mix, make a 15-minute mix. Perfect example, James, when I was first starting, you told me, you're like, send me one of your mixes. And if it would have been absolute dog crap, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunities that I did. But that was a good step in. I was able to send it right away. It wasn't like, oh, let me go record this real quick, because then that right there doesn't even show any initiative that you did it beforehand, that you had been practicing.
I like what Ginsu just said. You do the mixes for the heart, man. You do it because you just decided one day you really want to throw a bomb-ass mix together, you know. And if someone does ask you for one, like James does, and you put it together as a business card, if you will. But you know, and for me personally, I've been doing it 22 years, and I use this phrase in my selling. I go, the guy who's been working at a job for 22 years probably has the blankest resume in the room. Why would he need a resume? He's had the same job for 22 years. So when you look at it from that angle, well, that's why I don't have as many mixes online as the guy who's been DJing for 3. I don't need them. So.
Fair.
What do you think, James? You still do your Lost in the Sauce mixes, so you got to find some return on investment in that, or do you just do it for the love?
Well, exactly. So with Lost in the Sauce, there's 2 things. One, I play almost all house music, and before that it was all electronic music. So I don't always get to play like that in the clubs, and I do produce like that. So it's a way for me to show people that and brand my production side of things. And then I have guests on, which allows me to interact and show some of my favorite DJs that I've met, and it helped build my mixes. But one of the things, to go back, I think when I used to listen to mixes like years ago, it was a part of that DJ's branding and kind of like a flex, I guess. And now there's like 10 times more DJs, 10 times more mixes, especially right now with a lot of DJs without work. They're doing a lot of live streams or, you know, starting new mixes and stuff. So
podcasts.
So I don't mind mixes. I think the Club Killers ones are crazy good. If one of my favorite electronic guys puts out a mix, I love it. I get excited. But when it comes to just putting out an open format mix, I think, you know, some of us older DJs would like it, but I think I'm with Flair. It's you know, almost just make it for yourself, and if you need to put like an hour on before your set or something, you know, there's some benefit to that. But that mixes are still good.
I get excited when some guys release them, and then that's when it's like, oh man, I need to make my own. And then you start, you're like, God damn it, I can't even get 20 minutes in without screwing up. And it's an hour in, you're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I think what works best is recording your set. You know, just record your set.
I think there's a lot of benefit to that, and Mike will agree.
I record every set I do, every single set.
That's awesome.
So might delete it 2 days afterwards, but you know, I will record every single set I do, and sometimes I'll even listen to it in the car on the way home just to see what it sounded like. Straight up, turn the laptop on, hit Serato.
Time to listen to how awesome I am.
No, I just want to listen.
I'm just kidding. I know, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
Actually, no, since you said that, I got to bring it up. There was one time I may or may not have been throwing a house party after a set at the club, and Corrupt had come over, and I knew he was coming over, and this was the first time he was over my house. I'm like, you know what? When he comes over, I'm going to have his mix playing, and he's going to like that. And then so party's going on for like 20, 30 minutes. And he comes up to me. I'm like, he's like, hey man, this mix is really good. I'm like, bro, this is your mix. So as far as like popping on your
I
mix.
remember when that happened. And I was like, you're a really good guy, Mike. Like, yeah.
But I thought that was funny.
I had a same story happen. I was prospecting probably 15 years ago. And I think it was Caribbean Jerks. Is that the one up on Polaris Parkway? I think is what it was. I don't remember the name of the bar. But I go up in there, and I handed my press kit, and they're playing some background music. And I hear, you're in the mix with DJ FLAIR.
Yeah.
And I look, and I was like, who's your DJ? And I forget who it was at the time, but it was someone I knew that I had given a mix to. And I was like, oh, shit, well, that's me actually playing right now. So
there you go.
That was a really weird – yeah. So, I mean, there are benefits to giving it out for the branding, like you say. You know what I mean? For sure.
And then we're running out of time, guys. Where can people find you online? What are your social media handles?
Cody, you want to
go? Oh man, I don't even remember all mine. I think my Twitter is at DJ BYRDMAN1. The guy who has DJ BYRDMAN hasn't posted in 7 years. I messaged him. I was like, bro, I'll pay you $20 for it. And he's never even opened the damn thing. So I think I'm stuck with that. I think I have Birdman4811 on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook should be Birdman4811. And that's pretty much it. I couldn't even tell you my SoundCloud. That goes back to the whole mixes thing. Last time I made a mix, I couldn't tell you, so I don't even know what my SoundCloud name is.
That's funny.
DJ Flair, what's up?
Yeah, so much like James said earlier with branding, DJ Flair is what people call me. Flair Entertainment is the name of my business. DJ Flair is kind of what I've led with because it's branded better than Flair Entertainment. So you can find me anywhere by just searching DJ Flair, FLAIR. But primarily I'm on Instagram, DJ Flair1. And on Facebook, we have our business page, DJ Flair Columbus. But, my website is musicwithflair.com. So, most of my stuff is primarily based on weddings and private party bookings and such now. So that's where you would find me there. I do have mixes on Mixcloud if you search DJ Flair. But again, my focus has mainly been on that wedding stuff with musicwithflair.com.
And guys, big shout out to 614. 614 partners with us. And I'm going to remember the word this time, James. They do really great apparel, bracelets, T-shirts, all stuff that's very Columbus-based. So we try to give them a shout out every episode. And as I was talking about earlier, Intel released Eclipse. And I actually found that out by MailChimp. DJs, if you do not have a MailChimp, and especially producers, if you release a project, if you have a song out, making sure that you get it out to your MailChimp followers is a really good way to circumvent the algorithms of social media. And I've talked about that before. And then I just want to know, do you guys have any shout outs to give before we let James wrap this up?
Shout out to my boss, Chang.
We don't need to shout out Chang.
No, I'm going to anyways. I owe him a lot. He teaches me a lot every single day. Shout out to the guys I work with, Connor, Trevor, Mitch. Shout out to my mom and dad. I think they're still watching. Hi.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And I think that's it for right now.
Cool. Flair?
I want to shout out to everybody that joined in to listen to me rant. Thank you, Kyle, for pointing that out. It comes with passion, man. So I want to thank the people that came in, but more importantly, I want to thank you guys because, what you're doing for Columbus by putting this podcast together is a really good thing. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And I think, you should not just invite the ones that you do know, but maybe invite some ones you don't, simply because I think it would be really fun to hear some things from people that maybe we don't know so much about in the city. I know you had mentioned, Tyler, you don't know, or mentioned that Mike, that you don't know Tyler too well. I think he'd be a great person to have on, especially with what he's doing for some of the artists that he's working with right now. So I think it would be great to see some other people like that too. I think it's fantastic what you're doing already, man. And I'd love to see some of the older people that may not be DJs, but like you said, maybe some promoters. Get Mike G on here per se, someone like that. Someone that we'd love to hear even older than myself. I'd love to hear Samurai talk. Yeah. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, here's what I'll say about that. For anyone watching and who wants to be on the podcast, the best thing you can do is be a part of the show before you're a part of the show, right? Like we do this at the same time every Thursday. James does a really good job of following up on the Facebook chat, seeing who's in there. And then asking, Birdman, you were on here because you asked me, right? You said, hey, there's some things I want to talk about with this. I know you were watching the show because you saw that there was like something that you could add to the show and provide value, right? And it's not just to get on this podcast. In anything that you guys want to do, find a way to add value and trust me, it's not hard to get on this podcast. Like you should just ask and be in the chat, show some love, and you guys can be on here. This isn't like a gatekeeper type deal. We plan on doing this for a very, very long time. We know how many DJs are in Columbus. Show some love and we'll give love right back. James has done that at Dahlia forever. He's one of the best in the city at just, giving people shots. I mean, probably second to Nick Reed. And I think, James, you'd say that even yourself.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
If you guys want to be on the show, this isn't like some kind of like, like, you know, DJ's club or anything like that. Like, just let us know. Tell us how you can provide value, and the easiest way to provide value is just being in the chat, you know, showing up on episodes, and then just letting us know that you're ready. Is there anything else you want to add to that, James?
No, we really appreciate you guys coming on. Like I said, one of my favorite things is catching up with everybody, and hopefully, you know, it won't be a year before we reconnect, and hopefully, you know, things will get back to normal sooner than later, and, you know, we can start supporting each other better. But, you know, we had some really good times, and I hope your guys' businesses get better and heal through all this, because I know that we're all struggling a little bit. So
for sure. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here and answering the questions.
Thank you for having me.
And sorry, James, we're a little bit late, but let's close it out. Guys, episode 17 is in the books. We'll see you next Thursday. If you're watching on YouTube, like the video so the DJs can find it. Comment with questions, people you want to see on the show, and just anything you think that would help. And obviously subscribe to the channel if you want more gear reviews, you know, Q&As and everything like that. But I think that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Peace. We out.
see you in the gulag.